Yo, what's good? Hope all is well. Hope y'all having an amazing weekend, man. Hope things are looking really bright for you guys. Man, just wanted to get on here real quick because I really believe as I was riding today and just thinking about some stuff, like I've been on this journey for like the past couple of weeks, man. God is really peeling back the layers, man, of really some stuff I've been dealing with for a very long time that was really subtle in my life and just kind of lying under some stuff, under some layers that I believe has been hindering me, man, from just being free and having peace. And as I was riding today, man, I believe God dropped this in my spirit. He brought back to me, man, Job and what Job was going through. And I believe I cracked the code right here. I believe I cracked the code when it comes to our breakthrough. The reason why I believe most of our breakthroughs have been pending is simply because we have not been releasing the blessing on those that we see that already have the blessing. So what do you mean by that, Kenny? Let me explain to you for a minute. I believe what's been blocking us, and I'm speaking to my own self, I believe what's really been blocking us is when we see God moving in other people's life. When we see people that already got what we want, and most times even what we need. Like you may have a friend that has an awesome marriage and relationship and they thriving and vibing and all this stuff, and you sitting back like, God, when is it my turn? Or you may see somebody, man, you know, they post on Facebook, they praise report about their healing. They went to the doctor and the doctor don't even see what they was going through. Or somebody with their finances or whatever, you may see, you know, they just got a new promotion and all this kind of stuff. And you've been laboring and you've been trusting and you've been tithing and giving and doing everything you know to do. And yet the breakthrough doesn't show up. What happens is in these situations, man, is what happened is Satan start creeping in them, man, and start trying to like whisper thoughts into our minds that go definitely away from God's will. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you start having fear, you start having doubt, you start having all these things. And what happens is man, those negative emotions cause the blessing to be basically delayed. And God began to share with me about Job. And if we look back at Job 42 verse 10, we see where God blessed Job. But look what had to happen. The Bible says in Job 42 verse 10, it says, when Job prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes. In fact, the Lord gave him twice as much as before. So I went back and I looked at this. I really spent some time just kind of pausing, really trying to find what did God tell Job to pray about when it came to his friends. And then not only did I look at that and I saw where it clearly didn't say the reason why Job needed to pray for his friends, but it goes on. But I looked up the three people that were considered Job's friends in this chapter. It was Eliphaz, it was Bildad, and it was Zophar. So I'm like, God, what was he praying about for these people? Because when I looked up these people and got a little story on the back end of their lives, I see men of stature. I see these are high value men. These are men that had influence. These are men that literally was walking in everything Job lost. All of the fortunes, all of that kind of stuff. And these were Job's friends, because we already know birds of a feather flock together. You know, we've heard that statement time and time again. So it was not the fact that these guys didn't have stuff. These dudes were straight. Matter of fact, they were challenging Job because, Job, we walking in our wealthy place and doing all this kind of stuff. What's going on with you? You know what I'm saying? Because we all friends. Why you dealing financially? Why you losing stuff, your family and all this kind of stuff? So these men clearly had what Job lost. They was walking in abundance. These dudes, and they tripping out the fact that Job was now walking in lack. You know what I'm saying? So I see right here where if God, like he always does, is dealing with our hearts, the last test before Job got the blessing restored over his life was that he needed to pray for the people that already was walking in what he lost. That ain't easy. That's typical for that's really typical for God to challenge our hearts when it comes to stuff like this. Here it is, your best friend just got married. And here it is, your husband just walked away from you. And now you left with them children. You left with all this stuff. Now your friend over here talking about they done met their soulmate and how they living life happily ever after. You feeling some type of way. You feeling some type of way. Yeah, you might say, girl, yeah, this and that. Yeah, I'm so happy for you. But you know deep down inside, you feeling some type of way. That person, man, that was on your job that you know without a doubt come to work late, don't near as much put in the work that you put in. And here it is, the boss call them up for a promotion. Really? I mean, here it is, man. People, man, that don't believe God like you, they ain't on that like you. You believe in God, you quoting scriptures, you meditating and doing all this kind of stuff. And here it is, man, you struggling. You can't make ends meet for real, for real. Like you really dealing. You really going through. And these folks, man, at the car lot, then got a new car, closing on houses, able to take their kids on vacation. You sitting back, can't do nothing. You working through spring break, summer break, everything. Only to still not have enough. And these people walking in their wealthy place and they don't even know God like you. They don't even know God like you. But they seem to be experiencing his hand way more than you are. This real stuff right here, y'all. So this was a challenge for Job. This was the last test. Job had to speak blessings over these men that was clearly walking in everything he lost. The influence, the honor, the access, the health, the abundance, the love. Job had to lift these men up. But notice when Job did this, he opened the floodgates for himself. He opened the floodgates for himself. And check this out. Job didn't just receive fortunes. The Bible tells us that the Lord restored his fortunes. This man already had stuff. These were men that was walking in abundance. These dudes were straight. And Job, clearly they didn't have a need. So what he going to the Father for? It was a test. It was a test. Lift these men up, man. Pray for these dudes. Speak abundance over these dudes. Because they've been tripping on you because they trying to figure out, they didn't realize what God was doing in the man's life. So, of course, they feeling some type of way because what's going on with you, bro? We all, man, we walking in abundance, man. We got stuff working for us. We got people working for us. We walking in overflow. What's going on with you, bro? And Job had to pray for these dudes, lift these dudes up, do what needs to be done. That's what Job had to do. Yeah, that's what Job had to do. So, yeah. Yep. Want y'all to just let that soak in for a minute. The reason why the blessing may be pending is simply because those people in your life that you see winning, while it look like you losing, you need to lift them up. Speak blessings over them. As if y'all both already got abundance. As if y'all both walking in total health. As if both of y'all didn't met your soulmate and living happily ever after. Speak the blessing over them. Release them. Call them blessed. Lift them up. Congratulate them. Do what you got to do, man. And watch God restore and give you twice as much as you had before. I love y'all, man. And we gonna chop it up in a little bit. But till next time, peace.